more.
Salute, salute, salute. Wow. Glad y'all could make it in. Peace and love to the chat. Hey now. Glad y'all could tap in and check in with me. Salute, salute, salute. Kitty Divine. Caramel for the win. Stay true. Queen GG. Salute, 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 salute. We got some more shocking news tonight. Country singer Garth Brooks. Country singer Garth Brooks. Country singer Garth Brooks is also being investigated. Country singer Garth Brooks is also being investigated. Love the Cherokee salute. Let's get it in. Unfadable crew. Yeah. Monkeys and lanes, step back. Spin round, spin round. Step down, step down. Yeah. Walk all over these lanes. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Legendary country singer Garth Brooks. Also accused of rape, vicious acts. Garth Brooks is the latest. Whoa. Salute, love the Cherokee. Spin round, spin round. Step down. Yeah. Step down, step down. Step down. Yeah. Walk. You heard? Salute to everybody coming in tonight. We have a beautiful night, beautiful guests coming through. Lovely, lovely, lovely night out.
Damn, Ty, you made this bitch too?
Hey, man. Let's get to the politics. Let's go to WKRN News 2. WKRN News 2. Garth Brooks accused of rape in lawsuit. He, 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 he.
This is a News 2 breaking news alert.
We begin with 2 breaking news stories to tell you about tonight. Good evening and welcome to News 2 at 6. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Haley Wilkes. We start with country music star Garth Brooks. The musician has been accused of sexually assaulting a woman. A new lawsuit claims Brooks raped a makeup artist during a work trip to California back in 2019. That same suit alleges Brooks repeatedly exposed himself to the woman and sent her explicit text messages. News 2 has reached out to a publicist for Garth Brooks for comment, but we have not heard back.
That's crazy. Mr. Brooks, we got to get some more on this. This is new. This is something new. Okay, we got action. Garth Brooks accused lawsuit. Subscribe to CBS News. Let's go. Let's go to CBS News. Here's my review. CBS News. Garth Brooks accused of rape in lawsuit from hair and makeup artist Canada tonight. Let's go to CBS News.
Okay, let's turn now to the United States, where another big name entertainer is being accused of sexual assault. And this time it comes from the world of country music. A lawsuit has been filed against Garth Brooks by one of his former employees. Journalist Steve Futterman is on this story and joins us now from Los Angeles. So, Steve, what do we know about this lawsuit?
Well, Travis, I have to say, first off, this caught many people by surprise. Garth Brooks has had a pretty pristine good guy image historically, but this is a very, very detailed lawsuit filed against him by a former makeup artist who worked for him. We don't have her name. She's described in the this lawsuit as Jane Doe. But in this lawsuit, she details very graphic sexual assaults, rape by Garth Brooks, primarily beginning in 2019. She began working for Brooks in 2017. The assaults, she claims, began in 2019. She had also previously worked for Garth Brooks' wife, Trisha Yearwood. In the lawsuit, she goes into great detail about the specifics of what he did to her. We're not going to go into those, obviously, right now. But at one point, the lawsuit talks about Garth Brooks trying to fight back, and it says that he is very concerned about his image and it expects him to deny all these charges. They say he's desperate to avoid the public learning about what he has done to what they call a junior employee. So again, these are very graphic details, primarily sexual assault, rape in some cases, battery in other cases, very, very graphic things that she says took place in 2019.
And so, Steve, are we hearing from Garth Brooks? And if so, what are we hearing from Garth Brooks this evening?
Well, nothing specifically today, Travis, but he did file, and we're learning about this today, a lawsuit in Mississippi in September. He was apparently aware that this lawsuit might be coming up. There may have been negotiations, discussions between the lawyers representing the accuser and Garth Brooks, but there was a lawsuit filed by him in Mississippi in September basically asking that this lawsuit be thrown out. Again, he was anticipating it. So that, I guess, would be sort of a denial, but nothing officially from him today. We should point out that one of the lawyers for the accuser, again, Jane Doe, she's not giving her name right now, is someone who represented Cassie Ventura. She was the main person who brought the early allegations against Sean Combs. So he does have some history involving sexual allegations. In the lawsuit, they ask for monetary compensation, but they do not give any specific amounts.
Okay, more to come on this story. Steve Futterman in
Yes.
Los Angeles for us. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Travis.
That is wild. Let's go to Fox Nashville. Fox Nashville, Garth Brooks accused of sexual assault and battery denies allegation as extortion. Subscribe to Fox Nashville, and you'll be surprised. This from your way. Watch I go out work with something boy. It's coming out of your neck of the woods, man. At Cashville, man. Hey, man, say, man, what's going on, man? Let's talk about it, man. Walk. It's crazy. Real Talk, Kitty Divine on everything.
Developing news, country superstar Garth Brooks accused of sexual assault and battery, and the allegations in the lawsuit are graphic. Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller joining us live downtown after speaking with some country music fans about these accusations.
Well, Megan, we just heard from Garth Brooks for the first time about this lawsuit, and he says, quote, "For the last 2 months, I have been harassed to no end with threats, lies, and tragic tales of what my future would be if I did not write a check for many millions of dollars. It has been like having a loaded gun waved in my face." He later says, "It breaks my heart that these wonderful things are in question now. I trust the system. I do not fear the truth, and I am not the man that they have painted me to be."
The lawsuit is filed by a woman identified as Jane Roe. The complaint says Roe was hired to do Garth Brooks' wife's Trisha Yearwood's hair and makeup, and then started working with Brooks after he learned that Miss Roe was experiencing financial difficulties. But one day in 2019, the complaint says that Brooks took advantage of her financial hardship. It says while at Brooks' house to do his hair and makeup, he came out of the shower naked and forced her to touch him while requesting she perform sex acts. In May of 2019, Roe says she traveled to Los Angeles with Brooks to record a Grammy tribute. She says he booked a hotel suite with one bedroom and she didn't have a separate room. While there, she says Brooks grabbed her hands, pulled her onto the bed, and raped her. Roe claims she could not escape his physical domination. She says the star then pressured her to continue business as usual to style his hair and makeup for the event. Garth Brooks fans are shocked.
He seems like a good guy. And I've seen him like 3 times in concert.
Some fans are questioning the allegations.
That's crazy. I don't think it's true.
The complaint goes on to claim Brooks attempted to rape her again in October of 2019, but she managed to get away. Roe's attorney, Douglas Wigder, says Brooks filed a preemptive complaint in federal court in Mississippi in what he calls an obvious attempt at silencing and bullying Roe. He says Brooks timed his lawsuit to proceed anonymously after learning of Miss Roe's plan to file her complaint in California.
The victim's attorney says that he's confident that Garth Brooks will be held accountable for his actions. Now, Fox 17 News will stay on top of this developing story, and we will keep you updated as we hear more. For now, reporting live from downtown, I'm Caitlin Miller, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
P. Diddy is about to be slammed with more than 100 new civil.
As you guys hear, I'm just as shocked as you are. Like they said, Garth Brooks has always kept a squeaky clean image. This is definitely not like him in any kind of shape, form, or fashion. I'm not the biggest country western fan, even though I can, hear the tune. Even though I can hear the tune, I don't play country western in my room. But you got to be like a fucking, brand new baby or something not to know who Garth Brooks is. You know what I'm saying? Fucking king of the 90s. I don't really know none of the music, but I do know of him. Little Cherokee was saying, I said, my hairstylist put a lawsuit on me. She said she touched me where I pee. Girl. After I got out the shower, I dried off. Then she came in the bathroom and took my clothes off. Ow.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, now say that.
Okay, country guy.
Late night YouTube on my TV. Got it on my cell phone, can't you see? Laptop, drop top, watching radio. I'm headed down to the barn for the rodeo. Let's go to Law and Crime Network. 7 shocking details of P. Diddy, 120 new sex abuse accusers. Puff, I hate to do this to you, but you are viral.
Lawsuits as a wave of accusers come forward with even more shocking allegations. And according to the attorney bringing the lawsuits, these hundreds of accusations include child sexual assault, in one case on a child as young as 9. But Diddy isn't the only one implicated. In fact, high-profile celebrity names are expected to be revealed in these new lawsuits, and that could lead to even more charges. To understand all this, we'll sit down with former federal prosecutor Gene Rossi to break down everything we know so far. I'm Sierra Gillespie, and this is Law and Crime News. If 12 civil lawsuits and 3 federal charges weren't enough, Sean P. Diddy Combs is now up against more than 100 new shocking accusations in his alleged sex trafficking scheme that spanned multiple decades. Diddy's fall from grace started nearly 1 year ago in November 2023, when his ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, filed a bombshell civil lawsuit against him. Cassie's lawsuit laid out some major claims against the once beloved music icon, saying that over the course of their years-long relationship, Diddy physically, verbally, and sexually assaulted Cassie. And she didn't shy away from any of the details either. She gave specific examples of Diddy's alleged abuse, like when he forced her to carry illegal firearms or have sex with prostitutes. And Cassie's lawsuit also introduced us to the now infamous term freak-off. She says it started when Mr. Combs hired a man and brought the man to his home in Los Angeles. The man, Mr. Combs, and Miss Ventura wore masquerade masks and ingested drugs. Mr. Combs directed Miss Ventura to perform sexual acts with this man while Mr. Combs watched them. He allegedly masturbated while he directed Miss Ventura and the man to do specific sexual acts. Mr. Combs began to call the arrangement a freak-off, or FO. He would repeatedly tell Miss Ventura at random moments that he wanted an FO, and Miss Ventura was eventually expected to facilitate the location and the hiring of male sex workers. These same allegations were made over multiple other civil lawsuits, including the one filed by Rodney Jones, who's also known as the producer Lil Rod. His lawsuit was filed back in February and also specifically mentions freak-offs. Lil Rod alleges he saw a similar pattern to what Cassie described, saying he was sexually assaulted by Diddy, forced to consume drugs, and even have sex with a prostitute. This same lawsuit alleges there are hundreds of hours of video and audio recordings of Diddy and others participating in this illegal activity. We now know that when federal authorities raided Diddy's homes back in March, they were collecting some of that electronic evidence, and now it's being used in the case against him. The federal indictment against Diddy mentions this evidence and also defines freak-offs, saying they were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. Okay, I know you're multitasking when you're watching our videos, and if you're out running errands, listen up. I have to tell you about the free app Upside that gets you cash back on daily essentials. It's something I use every time I pump gas because it's easy and it's free, so why not? All you have to do is get the Upside app and then claim an offer for whatever you're buying. You pay as usual and then just follow the steps on the app to get paid. To find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description to download Upside or scan the QR code on the screen and use our promo code LCNews to get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. But allegedly, Diddy wasn't the only one involved in this illegal activity. The federal indictment confirms what Lil Rod said. Diddy's associates would assist in the planning and execution of these freak-offs. These associates facilitated the freak-offs by, among other things, booking hotel rooms for the freak-offs, stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to try to mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial sex workers, and Combs to and from freak-offs, resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial sex workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. During the federal raids, investigators collected some freak-off items, including more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube. Prosecutors used all this evidence and charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution. Diddy pleaded not guilty to these charges and says his side of the story will come out at trial. All the while, Diddy is behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, having been denied bail twice. And while Diddy is literally in a holding pattern, the case against him continues to build, with a wave of new civil lawsuits soon headed his way. This week, Houston-based attorney Tony Busby announced 120 civil lawsuits against Diddy will be filed in the next 30 days. If that number is staggering, consider this one, the number of people that initially reported the sexual abuse. Busby says it's thousands. Now, the lawsuits haven't been filed yet, so we're still unclear about specific information like dates or names. Miami and New York. Dating the other 60 are men, and of them, the youngest of which was only 9 years old. Over the dozens of lawsuits, plaintiffs will describe new allegations against Diddy, including violent sexual assault or rape, sexual abuse, facilitating sex with controlled substances, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings, and sexual abuse of minors. And then there's the other people involved. Diddy's associates could be named in these coming lawsuits, but so too could be some high-profile names. Busby says he can't tell us the names specifically, but that they are high-profile and will shock us. In an interview just this week, Busby told me some of the allegations in these new civil lawsuits could mean even more charges are filed.
What I'm hoping is, and I'm encouraging my clients, to those that, to the extent that they are willing to do so, to make themselves available to the federal authorities to tell their story. And I expect the indictment will grow. I expect there will be more counts.
If the federal indictment does in fact grow, how would that even work? Could any of these soon-to-be revealed high-profile names be listed as co-defendants? Here's where we turn to former federal prosecutor Gene Rossi for some more insights.
Salute.
So just starting talking about these more than 100 new civil lawsuits that are about to be filed against P. Diddy, what's your initial take just hearing that number, 120 new lawsuits?
Well, the number that really shocked me is there were 3,000 people that contacted this team of lawyers, and they pared it down to only 120. So they probably have other victims that they could use if they have to, but 120 is just enormous. And that shows to me, and these are allegations, they have to be proven both criminally and civilly. It shows to me that for the last 20 years, allegedly, Diddy has been engaging in quite a massive enterprise that violates federal criminal laws and state laws.
And you know, since this news of these 120 lawsuits, you said 3,000 people had come forward. I actually spoke to the attorney who's planning to file, and he said thousands more came forward after this. So do you think it's possible this is just the start of civil suits against P. Diddy?
Well, it reminds me of the quarterback, Deshaun Watson. I think he's now the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. But Deshaun Watson only had about 20 to 25 accusers. When you get into three digits, 120, probably 150 at the end of the day, that's just enormous. And two things happen. Number one, his legal fees are going to be incredibly high. He'll have to get a team of 25 lawyers to handle all these lawsuits. But the key word is distraction. Sierra, he's facing a federal indictment, propounded by one of the top U.S. attorney's offices in the country, the Southern District of New York. They're the varsity. They're geniuses. And they don't indict somebody because it's a slow day in the grand jury. So he has that big monster federal indictment. And now he's going to have approximately 120 civil suits. I don't know how he's going to survive financially, if not emotionally.
That leads into my next question about the prosecution against Diddy, because he's now been indicted on 3 federal charges, as you said, super severe. But what are prosecutors thinking as they're hearing about these new lawsuits? Do you think they're going to investigate them and maybe add charges?
If I'm a prosecutor, number one, they may add charges. They don't have to, but they may add charges. But more important, when I'm a prosecutor, and I was one for a long time, and there's a civil suit going on, it's a two-edged sword. That civil suit could give you more evidence, could give you more victims, could give you more information, but it also could jeopardize the credibility of potential witnesses in your criminal trial, because they'll be deposed, they'll be questioned, and they will be subject to civil discovery. So there's that tension. I had a criminal case against a pain doctor, and there was a civil lawsuit, a wrongful death suit. It was an overdose, and that civil lawsuit actually very much helped my criminal case, because the defendant in my criminal case made some statements in the civil case that were not helpful to him in my case. So it can help the prosecutors, but it can hurt the credibility of witnesses. It's a high wire act.
I mean, it's just an overwhelming number of people who say they were victimized by P. Diddy. There are more than 1,000 now at this point, at least according to the attorney who's bringing these suits. But what's interesting is that in the federal indictment, there's only one victim that's listed as victim 1. Why do you think that is, that federal prosecutors only included that one victim rather than the hundreds of others?
What the prosecutors did is they filed or presented to the grand jury this indictment with one victim, just to get something filed so he would be arrested and detained and jailed. I will be shocked if the prosecutors in the Southern District of New York do not supersede, amend, if you will, and add additional charges and additional victims. I would be shocked if they do not do that. So the first indictment is just a taste of what's to come.
What will that look like as federal prosecutors are potentially going to add, as you said, future charges, future victims? What's going on behind the scenes right now? Are they interviewing other people? Are they coming together and deciding appropriate? What would that look like?
They are interviewing other people. They may be conducting grand jury testimony if they're looking at additional charges. They can't use the grand jury to build a case against the charges that are returned and approved already, but they can look at other charges. And that's what they're doing right now. And as I said in one of my earlier appearances with you, they're probably working 24/7, working Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. And for those prosecutors in the Southern District, this case will be consuming their life for at least the next 2 years.
And you know what was interesting to me when I read the indictment is that there was no mention of any child sexual abuse. This is something we heard rumblings of for many years, that Diddy had allegedly sexually assaulted people who were minors. And now with these new 120 lawsuits, there are some pretty stark accusations that he sexually assaulted kids as young as 9, 14 years old. Is that something that federal prosecutors might take a look at?
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's nothing that inflames the passions of a jury than the exploitation of someone who's underage. And if you have a victim who's 9 years old, 11, 12, 13, 14, in their early teens, that is incredibly powerful for a prosecutor to present to a jury. And as I understand it, these 120 potential lawsuits, the ages range from a high of 38 to as low as age 9. And I also understand that about 2/3 are African American, a third are white. We have women and men. So you have the full panoply. But here's what else is important. According to the articles, the attorneys who are representing the civil victims, civil suits, they're going to list as defendants, not just Diddy, but other people. And according to the attorneys, some of those other people, those other co-defendants, they may be names that will be easily recognizable by the general public.
You just brought up the next part that I wanted to talk about, that we're not sure who these names are as of yet, but some people have said they're even more popular than P. Diddy or even more A-list, that we're going to be shocked by these names. Again, let's not speculate on who it could be. We could see this soon, hopefully. But what does that mean for those people, celebrities who right now are thinking, okay, yeah, I was at a Diddy party back in the day. I did participate. What's going on for them?
I can tell you this. Those people you're talking about that may be co-defendants of Diddy, they know who they are. And they are not getting sleep right now. And they're probably getting attorneys because they're going to face a civil suit and possibly a criminal. And you could see the prosecutors in the Southern District, based on information in the civil suits, maybe adding a couple of co-defendants in the federal indictment. Now, if they do that, it kind of raises legal issues, motions for severance, things like that. Could delay trials. So they may keep it just against Diddy because it'll be simple and straightforward, sort of like what Jack Smith did against Mr. Trump. He had one defendant, Mr. Trump, in the January 6th case to keep it simple. Prosecutors may do that and just have it against Diddy, but they may add co-defendants. But those civil suits, they're going to have co-defendants for sure.
Now, it does seem to me that prosecutors want to nail Diddy, so to speak. I mean, he's the kingpin behind all of this, and he's the one who has been indicted as of now. So if these other names could be added as co-defendants, we'll see. But I'm wondering if potentially they would speak with prosecutors or investigators and flip and testify for the prosecution rather than become a co-defendant, potentially.
When I was a prosecutor, I always referred to the pancake theory. You try to get people to cooperate and flip them like pancakes so you can use them in your case. So if the
Salute to everybody coming in. What we're hearing right now is there have been more added to the initial accusations of Puff Daddy. Over 3,000 calls relating to Mr. Combs. Personally, I don't believe the child allegations, unless it's some kind of tape or some type of bribery, sick ritual or something like that going on with that. I'm not believing it. But it is out there. He said from 9 years old to 38 for most of the accusers. Very sad and embarrassing situation. I don't know what to say. Let's listen to this guy. This is a pretty good source of information here. Subscribe to Law and Crime Network. Hit that like button, Law and Crime Network, if you do. Here's my review. 7 shocking details of P. Diddy's 120 new sex abuse accusers. Trenches, salute.
The prosecutors are going to keep this case simple and just against Diddy. Those other people who may be culpable, as I say, I will try to flip them like a pancake and I'll offer them some options. One is immunity, and prosecutors don't generally like to give immunity. 2 is say, listen, we're not going to add you to this case. We may charge you separately. So why don't you pay now as opposed to paying later and cooperate, plead guilty, and hope for leniency at your sentencing? That's probably what could happen.
Taking a look again at these new civil suits, again, they haven't been filed yet, so we don't know for sure the entire details of them. We'll have to wait and see. But something that we have heard is it kind of shows the pattern that we've heard since the start with Diddy, that he would drug these people, then sexually assault them, oftentimes record it. So this has been documented throughout these civil suits at least a dozen times now, moving toward 120 times. Do you think this will be helpful for the prosecution to establish that he had some sort of pattern with all this?
Oh, absolutely. Because they have charged basically a RICO in the federal case. And any crime that he committed that's part of that enterprise, that RICO, that will be admissible at trial. And here's the other thing. Those victims, whether it's 3,000 or 120, they may have text messages, emails, recordings, voicemail messages, videos that may help the government, and they will readily turn that over.
Again, it's just overwhelming, the number of accusers, now lawsuits. Diddy is in trouble, to say the least. But what kind of defense do you think he could bring? He's been very outspoken through his attorney that we're going to fight this. Diddy says he's going to testify. But how could they combat all of these witness testimony and the evidence? I mean, is that even possible?
Anything's possible. And of course, he's presumed innocent. They're allegations. But here's the nub. When you have a case like this, the only defense that is viable, if there is one, is you have to attack the credibility of the victims and say they consented, they were all in, they weren't coerced, and it sounds horrible what happened in terms of these freak-offs, but it was a mutual understanding and that there was no exploitation, no crime, although it was sordid and lascivious, as they say. But that would be the key defense, is that they were all in and they consented. But will a jury believe that? We shall see.
They're recounting this really difficult time in their life. Obviously, it's been very traumatizing. And now they're going to have the defense attorney saying, did it really happen? Didn't you consent? I mean, isn't that tough for the witnesses?
It's tough for the witnesses, but I forgot to mention this. For the underage victims, it's hard to say that a 9-year-old consented to any of this if it happened, or somebody who's 14. That's why we have statutory laws for juveniles and all that. So for the victims who are underage, the consent argument is just impossible to make. So those are really hard. But for the older people over 18 and older, their argument could be that they their argument is they were coerced. His argument is it's consensual. So regardless of the defense or what the victim says, it's going to be a mess, but those witnesses will be very powerful for the government under the RICO statute.
We're still super early on. Diddy wasn't even indicted a month ago, so still in the early stages. But do you have any sort of guess on a timeline, what things could look like?
Sierra, I don't think there will be a trial in federal court in New York until probably 2026. It's definitely not occurring this year. It highly unlikely next year. The prosecutors will be lucky if the trial is in 2026.
Following the news of these 120 new civil lawsuits, Diddy's team released a new statement saying, quote, as Mr. Combs' legal team has emphasized, he cannot address every meritless allegation in what has become a reckless media circus. That said, Mr. Combs emphatically and categorically denies as false and defamatory any claim that he sexually abused anyone, including minors. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to the federal charges against him and is due back in court on October 9th. For Law and Crime, I'm Sierra Gillespie.
Yes, Mr. Combs is really in trouble here. It's a lot of people to fight off. Definitely not saying he's guilty of anything. I am not condemning, nor am I defending, only giving my opinion. Understand. Understand.
Oh my God.
Understand. 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 This is knowledge and wisdom 101. Please take notes on not to go. Pay attention to your cup. Pay attention to your plate, your date, your mate, your slate, your freight. And if it's cold outside, pay attention to your skates.
Oh my
Puffy,
goodness.
Puffy has put himself in a situation where it's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars to even get a dub. It's going to cost Puffy at least 150 million to get 20 years out of this if they want the money. If they want the money. They don't necessarily have to take the money. Trenches Politics TV, the topic is global news, Diddy, Garth Brooks, the newest of the legendary artist, legendary musician to hit the pen or to be accused of rape and other illegal acts.
You're breaking up.
Uh, Am I back on? Is this mic on?
Yeah.
Salute the chat. Everybody coming in. Twin. What's good with it? Let's check out Nancy Grace. 1999 Did he do it? Over 100 new victims alleged. Here's my review. Nancy Grace. Subscribe. This is it.
Breaking news tonight. Do I need a toll-free number? 1999 Did he molest you? Now over
Damn.
100 sex assault victims have been vetted, according to a lawyer, after over 3,000 people have contacted lawyers regarding
Michael Wright,
alleged
salute.
abuse at the hands of Sean Combs. This as disturbing claims emerging tonight regarding sex assaults on minors trying to break into showbiz. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us. Diddy boo hoo. Sean Puffy Combs whining, incessantly refusing jail food. Oh no, it's not eggplant parm, Nancy. It's chicken parm.
No,
I care. Am I supposed to care that Diddy's got a TT into a metal urinal? I don't care. Don't care. Don't care. BS. BS. Sorry. BS.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. But because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you.
There you see lawyer Tony Busby. He's got a lot to say. He's been fielding calls. I guess he has set up an 800 number. If he hasn't, he needs to. Did he molest you? Because from what we are hearing, there have been over 3,000 people coming forward. Over 100 of them have been vetted and are filing lawsuits against Sean Combs. But there you have him talking about celebs, how we're going to be shocked. You know what? After everything I've heard regarding until proven guilty in a court of law, I could be. But from those many, many alleged victims, we are learning more and more. And for the state federal prosecutors, this is a much more refined modus operandi, method of operation, MO, that we are learning from all of these alleged victims. And again, yes, it's titillating. It's interesting to some people, I guess, about celebs. We've seen all the pictures over and over. Hillary, let's see here, Trump, Obama, Ashton Kutcher. I mean, it just goes on and on and on about celebs. Oprah, for Pete's sake. At a party, at some event with Combs, does that make them guilty? No. And I think a lot is out there about celebs because the media believes the general population wants to hear about celebrities. You know what I want to hear about, Lynn Shaw? I want to hear about the truth. Weigh in.
Well, the truth is puppy parties, dirty Diddy. We heard these rumors for years. We had people come forth. We are in the middle in New York City. And I would say you must go to the authorities. You must tell law enforcement. We are going back to the 90s, Nancy, and nobody would do it. Everybody was afraid. I want to focus not on the celebrities and influencers. I want to focus on the minors and all of these victims. Minors. That is exploitation. Show
One
business.
as young.
Once again, I'm gonna stop the tape on that because to give my assessment, they're gonna be saying that a lot. I personally don't believe that. Like I said, unless there's some type of ridiculous bribery or esoteric initiation with kids or minors or something like that, I'm not believing Puff is fucking with shit on tape or something like that. Now if they got that on tape or something like that and they just showing that and they seen it and they saying it or it's whatever, then that's something completely different. But until it's something like that, until I hear some real proof or evidence or some shit like that, I refuse to just let them sabotage them with that one. That's not gonna go. Let's continue on.
Allegedly, Lynn Shaw. By the way, Lynn Shaw, Executive Director, Lynn's Warriors, committed to ending sexploitation and human trafficking. Alex West joining me, investigative reporter with The Mirror. Alex, I guess you, of everyone on the panel, has seen the video ad nauseum of Ashton Kutcher on some type of a swing going over and over a pool at one of Combs's white parties where everybody has to dress in white or you can't get in. Have you seen that video of Kutcher?
Yes.
I don't care about that. I don't care about him unless he is a defendant or a victim or he's in a new movie. All I care about.
Right.
But as of right now, these endless parade of celebrity montages at Combs's parties, that means nothing. I want to get to the heart of what's going on with this federal case because the feds have been very clear. They're still investigating, Alex.
We can't fully pull apart the celebrity, right? So for example, Justin Bieber, right? He was with Diddy. He was in Diddy's custody. We can't pretend that that's not true. We don't know what happened to Justin. We don't know if he was a victim. He hasn't said anything yet. But we can't forget that there are some celebrities who were under Diddy's care as minors who he did mentor. So I think we can't fully stop talking about the celebrity aspect of this either.
I agree, Alex West, but seeing Ashton Kutcher swing back and forth on a homemade swing over Diddy's pool means nothing to me. Actually, what does mean something to me is this. Listen.
The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world. The wall of silence has now been broken and victims are coming forward. Our team has had at this point more than 3,285 individuals contact us with people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs.
Did I just hear that number correctly? I don't think I need a hearing aid, but I definitely heard the number. 3,285 people have come forward claiming that Sean Combs in some way molested or attacked them. 3,000 plus? Is that real? They've got to be vetted. How many of those are real and how many of those are just jumping on a band? Joining me, renowned clinical forensic psychologist. You can find her at drlesliedobson.com. Her author, The Friend Cleanse. Dr. Leslie, thank you for being with us. I want to address something that attorney Tony Busby just said. And very shortly, we're going to be joined by Ariel Mitchell-Kidd, who is representing a new alleged victim of Combs on the same issue. We hear Busby talking about the wall of silence coming down. As you know, Dr. Leslie, I have prosecuted a lot of rape cases, including many serial rapists. And he's right. There is a wall of silence where victims don't want to come forward. Why? Especially with a perp, an alleged perp like Diddy.
I think there is so much danger in coming forward. There's shame to these individuals. There's shame they fear amongst their family, but there are viable threats of death to them and their families. And I've been made aware of the threats by the bodyguards of many of these celebrities involved. And they have numbers put on their heads. So it is no joke. If you come forward in a civil lawsuit and you settle or you go to court, it doesn't matter. You're still at risk of losing your life over this.
3,000 plus victims. Yeah, you better set up that toll-free number. Listen.
After vetting, we now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases. There are 60 males and 60 females. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15.
An alleged victim as young as 9 years old. A lot of people would find that very hard to believe, but wait until you hear the circumstances surrounding the claim of the 9-year-old. And now other minors are coming forward. One claiming he just quit the whole business and lives in regret that he left the industry after an alleged incident with Sean Combs. Brian Fitzgibbons joining me, Director Operations USPA Nationwide Security. Brian Fitzgibbons, we have to vet these victims, and I'll tell you why. If you have one person who's lying and trying to get money and it didn't really happen, that casts a pall, a taint over every other victim that's going to be named. One liar can ruin the whole case. You know, the whole one bad apple can. That's what I'm talking about. How do you vet people? And remember, when you're vetting them, they could very well be a legitimate victim of Sean Combs. So how do you vet them, keeping in mind you could be dealing with a sex attack victim?
Absolutely, Nancy. And these law firms, these professional law firms, will engage with highly specialized private investigators that understand how to conduct these interviews appropriately. Given that, out of those 3,285, hey, as far as we know, a majority of them could be actual victims. And as you said, some of them could be out just for money and be falsifying this information. Now, in our experience, that's something that we quickly identify as these interviews start. The law firm will have a mountain of information to vet the validity of the statements being made.
Well, one way that you can vet victims is you can look at what we call in prosecution an outcry. Did they say anything about it to anyone at the time? Those are called outcry witnesses. Okay, listen to this.
More than 55% of the victims filed reported this conduct to either the authorities, that is the police, or to hospitals. We're in the process of collecting with our team assistants, medical records, reports that were made to the authorities. And I've already said that some of the individuals in this group did in fact talk to the FBI.
And joining us now, special guest Ariel Mitchell-Kidd, a very high-profile civil litigation attorney who is representing one client so far in a case against Sean Combs. And I'd like to point out that she also is familiar with the attempted sale of Diddy tapes. I can only assume they're pornographic in nature. Ariel Mitchell-Kidd, thank you for being with us. Your client filed a police report at the time of the incident, but was afraid to put Sean Combs' name on the report. What happened?
So at the time when she was able to make her hearing escape from her assault, she ran down the street and a neighbor took her in, and that's how she was able to contact the police. At that time, she was very afraid to name Mr. Combs, mainly because this was at the height of his career. She felt crazy even telling the neighbor who it was and feeling like no one would believe her. And I too feel the same way because in 2021, this is a case that's actually still pending in Florida courts. Mr. Combs is named as a defendant in a lawsuit that I have with Trey Songz. Also in 2022, Mr. Combs was his home rather was the location of two separate sexual assaults by young ladies by Chris Brown. And in 2021 and 2022, I personally was sounding the alarm about Mr. Combs that there something was not right, that these acts, these sexual assaults kept occurring at his home. And no one wanted to listen to me. No one wanted to believe me. And then I had individuals, including a celebrity chef and other high profile celebrities and politicians in Miami who were warning me that my life was in danger if I persisted in these claims against Mr. Combs. So I truly believe that all of these individuals who are now coming forward are doing so now because now finally they're feeling safe that they can make these claims without fear of harm or retribution.
You know, in another universe, I would have thought, Ariel, that that's far-fetched. But now that I know so many other women are saying I was threatened. I was threatened that a pornographic tape of me would be revealed. I was threatened my career would end.
That's a good point. Why are they targeting Chris Brown again? When you're trying to build a monster case against someone like Puff Daddy, when you're trying to turn them into this sadistic pedophile, rapist, and abuser, and so on and so on, you got to put him in categories of people who's been convicted of that type of stuff. So Chris Brown, with his past, and Puff Daddy's association with him and Rihanna, that would, you know, legitimately put them in that, you know, in that conversation. But that's only if you're trying to smear his name. So now they're gonna look at it as if Puffy's if Chris Brown got that from Puffy, who knows? But this is that, but that's why they're doing it. They're just trying to put him in a category, classify him with other abusers.
Against Sean Combs, it's not far-fetched at all what you're saying. Could you tell me about what your client says happened the night she says Sean Combs sex assaulted her?
Yes. So what she told me was she was with a friend, and the friend gets a phone call from Mr. Combs asking him what he was doing and if he could come over. And he said, "Sure, I'm just having at home having some friends over." Mr. Combs came with Christina Quorum, who we know Mr. Combs to say that that's his right hand woman. He shouted her out in that BET speech where he named Cassie at the end of the video for staying with him through the dark times. My client has identified Ms. Quorum as an additional person who will be named as a defendant in our lawsuit, who was present at the time. She said Ms. Quorum and Mr. Combs were making jokes about sex trafficking her, about how she would be a good person to take to the parties and that a lot of men would like her. And eventually she was given, everybody started drinking. She was given a drink, and she said she took one sip and knew something was off and stopped drinking and started to feel woozy. And then Mr. Combs assaulted her with an inanimate object, which I'll name in our complaint, which is coming soon, and then instructed another gentleman who was there to penetrate her with his while Mr. Combs was in the corner watching and pleasuring himself.
Okay, Ariel. Guys, you're hearing Ariel Mitchell Kidd, who is representing yet another claimant against Combs. For those of you that want to buy into the photos of him drinking champagne and pouring it on people and his fur coats and his diamond necklaces and his gold chains, blah, blah. You know, the devil can dress up in a tuxedo too. Does that mean anything to me? No, it does not. What your client is saying predates by years the federal indictment. What is she? Clairvoyant? She is saying she was invited to a party. She is saying that there was talk of trafficking her. In other words, farming her out to other men that would enjoy meeting her. That at that point, Combs sits back and watches other people as he. That's exactly what the victims say in the federal indictment. This is highly significant.
Absolutely. I've also been vetting several individuals since I have entered into this foray. So I knew this to be occurring. I had no doubt in my mind who Mr. Combs is and was and continues to be, and is only not that person anymore because he's behind bars.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called
freak offs. Freak offs. Freak offs. Freak offs.
Freak offs.
Sean Puffy Combs, aka Diddy, aka P. Diddy, I'll see you in court. In addition to a lawyer claiming, this is Busby, claiming that over 3,000, sorry, Diddy. Ooh, I know how you hate an imperfection. Over 3,000 alleged victims have come forward. He has vetted that down to over 100 lawsuits against Diddy. Hey, you better hurry. He's going to run out of money at some point. That said, when you see Busby speaking, I've been saying, hey, we need a toll-free number, 999 Diddy molest you. Okay, he has a toll-free number right behind him. You normally only see toll-free numbers of that nature when you've got a class action, which means typically hundreds, maybe thousands of people joining together in one claim against a major entity like a cell phone carrier or a big company. There is an 800 number for victims to call if they have been molested by Sean Combs or at one of his parties. Did you just hear Ariel Mitchell Kidd? Her client says this happened years ago, where Diddy sits back and watches him while he instructs somebody else to her. Aside from Sean Combs's parties, I want to talk about the specter that has just been raised in the last 72 hours. The specter of child victims. Listen.
This individual, who was 9 years old at the time, was taken to an audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were minors. This individual was sexually abused, allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio, in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal.
And more.
Another minor told, allegedly by Sean Combs, that he would make him a star, but needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex upon him.
Alex West joining me, investigative reporter with The Mirror. Alex, again, thank you for being with us. What do we know about claims? Now, multiple claims, not just one, then child, but multiple claims that the MO, again, the same when it comes to children. They are interviewed by Combs for a record deal, and they end up giving him. What do you know about these claims?
Yeah, so the alleged grooming is a tactic that, Diddy has allegedly used on adults as well. The promises of fame have come up over and over again. And that's the same tactics that he allegedly used with children. I mean, 25 minors are coming forward. And, all of them have very similar stories. They're taken allegedly to studios. They're offered contracts. They are asked to perform. They're asked to be a part of these things. And I look forward to reading some of those complaints when they come out and seeing what those, repetitive things are and what we're seeing. But, the stories line up with the adult victims as well. Same thing, using his power to get these individuals to allegedly perform different acts on him or with him.
And there's more. You've heard about a then 9-year-old, then another minor. Listen to this.
An individual 15 years old
Peace,
at the
God.
time, flown
Peace.
to New York City, was drugged, and then taken into a private room, allegedly in the presence of Commissioner where this female individual minor was raped, and then other individuals took turns. A very young man who told us at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and his friends in the effort to try to sign a record deal. This was kind of what he was told he would have to do. Had he not been in power, I feel like I could have been something great. I quit the industry because of what Sean Combs did to me.
To Lynn Shaw, founder and director of Lynn's Warriors, committed to ending sexual exploitation, especially of children. If there had been one isolated claim, I would have been skeptical because it wouldn't fit into Combs's MO of targeting adults. But now that I know that there are 25 similar claims regarding abuse on children, that cannot be ignored. MO be damned.
Nancy, we have always heard the rumors, or people have reported to me that these things were going on right here in New York City at his studio, in his offices. But I have to ask you, if we were hearing about this, these stories we're hearing right now are lining up with everything, the adults and the minors. I want to ask everybody, where has everybody been? There were reports made. Some spoke to the FBI. Hospital emergency rooms, which we always say to victims, get reports down, call 911 right away, go to a hospital emergency room. They're open 24/7, 365. I want to ask everybody, where has everybody been? And when it comes to children, you have to ask, where did these children come from? What about their parents or caretaker? Who are these children? Other adults in the room. Why would they watch this, allow this? This is so complicit. There are so many people involved, and we have to keep our thoughts on that as well. I don't want this to turn into another Jeffrey Epstein case where it just kind of poof and goes away. We have to stay on this because so many people are complicit in this. And I'm tired of hearing about, if anything good comes of this, this whole dirty Diddy thing, is if the American public, the public can wake up and see what is going on, and you don't allow your child alone at any point, anything to do with show business, going anywhere when it seems too good to be true. It is too good to be true. But I have to ask, where is everybody protecting these kids? Obviously, everybody failed at their jobs. I want answers, don't you? Doesn't everybody here on the panel? Why could this go on since the 90s? I'm not understanding that when people have been reporting this.
Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.
Music mogul and rap star Sean Diddy Combs hit with lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. But attorneys claim no matter how many suits are filed, Combs is innocent.
Well, if the attorney really wants to win the case, he better not have any more sit downs with Harvey Levin, the founder of TMZ, who's also a lawyer. In addition to another hearing, another bond hearing, this is bond hearing number 3, that's coming up. We think they'll probably argue it on October the 9th. Don't know that. That could just be a status update, but I guarantee you the lawyers will try to get him out of jail. Again, 2 new lawyers have been named to the case. One is a trial lawyer, a very well-known trial lawyer, and the other is an appellate lawyer. What does that mean? Appeals. That means you argue the law. Why would Sean Combs need an appellate lawyer now? There's not even a conviction to appeal. That's because this new lawyer, the appeals lawyer, is an expert in the technicalities of the black and white letter of the law to try and beat this case on a legal front, not a factual front. So that's what's happening. Now, another important thing that's happening that we heard from Tony Busby, who has the big 800 number behind him, as opposed to our 999. Did Diddy molest you? All of these women and men coming forward, including 25 minors, have a similar story. That's critical in the practice of law because these witnesses don't know each other, yet their stories are startlingly similar. What are we learning about the alleged modus operandi, method of operation of Sean Diddy Combs? Listen.
Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink, reported by these victims, is apparently laced with something. Once that drink takes effect, the perpetrators perform all kinds of sexual acts on the victims, many times passing him or her around as other people watch and enjoy the show, and then leave the victim ashamed, confused, injured, and wondering what happened. When the victim reaches out, he or she is told not to say anything. Sometimes there are threats of violence or financial repercussions or bodily harm.
To Dr. Leslie Dobson joining us, clinical forensic psychologist at drlesliedobson.com, also author. Dr. Leslie, many characteristics, but one repeating theme, a recurring theme, is how Combs, aka Diddy, aka Puff Daddy, Puffy, Love, Sean Love, whatever, puts on a show. He's like the puppeteer, and the victim is the puppet, with a parade of typically men abusing the victim, putting on a show for Combs. What is that?
He's got a style, right? That's his grooming. And he enjoys these high levels of stimulation and risk. For somebody who specializes in high risk sexual violence, he is one of the most dangerous people I have ever seen in my career.
You know, I'm very curious what you make of claims.
I got to pause it right there. Reason being, those are some serious allegations.
Yes, sir.
One thing we are not condemning, nor are we defending. We're only giving our opinion. This is not that type of party. Puffy may be a lot of things, but I refuse until I hear or see about hard evidence on this minors and stuff like that. I refuse to just.
Yeah.
I refuse to let them put that bag on them like that. It's not making sense.
No, it ain't. The number of people they're talking about. the number of people they talking about really don't even make no sense. How the fuck is 3,000 goddamn people?
3,000 phone calls, 120 plus accusers, 25 minors, ranging from 9 to 38 years old. Ranging from 9 to 38 years old. These are the accusations that are being put on Mr. Sean Combs, the legendary. I am by far appalled at some of these charges.
Yes, yes.
But
likewise,
I can't say what. I just refuse to allow. Yeah, I just refuse to allow certain accusations to be put out there with those type of tags. The date rape, murders, the abuse. I can't, whatever that, if that's what they're putting out, that's what they're putting out. But to put that tag on him as a pedophile, fucking with 9-year-olds and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy as fuck.
Insane.
And
I that he is motivated by some sort of voyeurism. It's not him always performing on the victim. He is very often, if not mostly, sitting back and watching somebody else attack the victim.
There's an element of sadism. He is enjoying the pain. And voyeurism is when an individual is sexually stimulated by watching another person engage in sex. And then when you bring in that element, they are stimulated because of the sadistic nature involved in watching the sex act.
So to Ariel Mitchell Kidd, now representing another alleged victim of Sean Combs, what I'm getting at with Dr. Leslie Dobson, you heard her definition of voyeurism. If this is Combs' addiction, that would explain the alleged sale of Diddy tapes, pornographic tapes. How does that fit in with your client?
Well, my client doesn't know, at least right as of now, if anything was recorded. At least in this scenario, it wasn't at one of his homes, like the stills of the videotape that I saw, which is purported to be at Mr. Combs, one of Mr. Combs' estates in Atlanta, Georgia. So I've actually been told by the individual who wanted me to sell the one tape that they had 3 tapes. And
Hold everything. I got to hear that more slowly. Ariel Mitchell Kidd joining us. So
Michael Wright, Nancy
you have seen
her comment.
stills of a porn tape with Combs in it?
Yes, and part of the reason I did not want to engage in any sale or have anything to do with it is because they could possibly be a minor in that videotape. It could be child pornography, and I have a lot of extensive experience with dealing with cases with child pornography, and I know what my duties are. I cannot determine if this person is 17, 18, 19, 20, or 21. But I did see the steals in an effort to authenticate that there actually was a tape.
The feds are homes. According to TMZ, an anonymous male sex worker has met with agents to hand over a freak-off tape. The escort was reportedly flown from Atlanta to Miami to participate in the freak-off and even detailed the drugs Combs used to ply the woman he had sex with in the video. This as feds are still on the hunt for private medics who hooked up victims to IVs after the hours or days-long sex assaults.
I'm gonna tell y'all something now. Anytime you go to a party and need an IV, that's one hell of a party. I don't know what transpired. I have heard from these shows educational purposes, I have learned of evidence of people going to the laws and the doctors and they're being turned around.
Mm. Mm.
Things like that.
You talk about going to the law of the doctors, saying that he did something to them and they being turned around?
No, when they go in for like, you know, being like waking up, not knowing what happened or feeling raped and stuff, they tell the doctors where and who did it, and the doctors and the police turn them around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was like a few days ago. I did a show or whatever, and they said that. Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. They,
You was up there.
yeah,
For sure. You definitely was there.
yeah, I remember that. But
And that is where the entire criminal enterprise alleged in the federal indictment, that's what they're talking about. Now we understand that the feds are on the hunt for medics that applied or helped facilitate IV drug drips to victims to recuperate after freak-offs. I want to circle back to Ariel Mitchell Kidd regarding the porn tape she says she saw. Then I'll also go back to Fitzgibbons regarding the potential of an AI, a false tape. But Ariel, this is not the first we've heard of porn tapes being circulated, porn tapes as they relate to Combs. There's got to be a treasure trove of porn tapes. If he videoed all of these freak-offs,
I would believe that there is a considering. I know of one source who purports to have 3 tapes, one of which I have seen a still of. They did invite me to come to Beverly Hills and view all 3 of the tapes if I was so inclined to take this responsibility on, which I declined, which is how we got to the point of me seeing the stills of the tape. As I'm an attorney, once I see certain things, I would have a duty not only to report these things, but be called upon as a witness, as an officer of the court.
well, you're absolutely right, Ariel Mitchell Kidd.
well,
In
whoever got the
the
tape,
stills
if
that you
it's
saw of
child
one
pornography
of the
on that,
tapes,
then they've been
what
locked up
did
too.
you observe?
I observed Mr. Combs and another extremely high profile individual engaged in activities.
Alex West,
Was it him and TD
that
Jakes?
is a whole nother line of potential indictment, a whole nother avenue
A
for the
whole nother.
sale or the manufacture or
You ever been
distribution, dissemination
swallowed?
of porn. And that's a very loose term. I mean, all the U.S. Supreme Court will say about porn is we know it when we see it. Okay. Just because people are naked having sex does not necessarily mean a crime. However, if you're videoing someone without their knowledge and then disseminating that, that's a whole nother animal. What can you tell us about people peddling Diddy porn tapes?
Yeah, what I do know is while that could be another indictment, could be another charge or revenge porn, this has come up over and over again in the civil lawsuits. And these victims, one of the big things they're asking for is not just financial compensation, but for those tapes to be destroyed. They found it affects their life, their livelihood. They've said that it's been sent around to plenty of people. They've heard from other people that their videos have been sent to them without their knowledge. And they find out years later. Some of these people are alleging that their assault took place years ago and they've worked on it. They've tried to heal from that. And then it comes back up years later when they find out that Diddy allegedly sent this to other people. And now they have to start that trauma process all over again. And that's what they're saying in these civil lawsuits. So could it be an avenue for investigators to look into? Absolutely. And they have some place to start with these civil lawsuits.
Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up by, allegedly, by Mr. Combs and several other people in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her and her.
I'm telling you, when a jury hears that, they're going to do a backflip. That's Tony Busby, attorney, speaking about over 3,000 people coming forward. He's culled it down to over 100 that he believes are legitimate sex assault claims against Combs. Straight out to Brian Fitzgibbons joining us, Director Operations, USPA Nationwide Security. How can I make sure that these videos we're talking about, pornographic in nature, are legit? How can I tell if they've been doctored, if they've been edited, if they've been spliced together, if they're not AI? How do you do that?
This is going to be very difficult for the untrained eye to detect an AI video at this point. The deep fake technologies have advanced in leaps and bounds over the last few years. But the good news is for attorneys and prosecutors, the technology is even more advanced on the other side to identify this. So as long as attorneys and prosecutors are using the right technologies, they can run these videos through a systems of scans that will tell you that it's been faked.
While there are allegations, and this is by Tony Busby, that there will be celebrities named in these lawsuits. You heard Ariel Mitchell Kidd state that she observed a celebrity in one of these tapes. Lynn Shaw, celeb or no celeb, there are a lot more victims out there.
So what we have to say about this, again, I always want to put the focus on the victim, the survivor. I have to talk to women and girls. It's called Violence in America Against Women. And they will be asking me about this case. They want to know why it's allowed. So we want to put the focus and how we and help them, because they tell me they walk in a supermarket, a drugstore, they think people are staring at them. It goes on all their lives. And now we're talking about kids, minors, which we always heard about, CSAM, child sexual abuse material. This is horrendous. Again, I want to remind everybody, let this be a lesson that this goes on. No celebrity culture society is worth this. And where, again, were all the other participants, people? He did not do this alone. Where was everybody when all of these people, and especially children, were involved? It's disgusting. It's bizarre. Call it the National Guard. We need vetting. We need to prove that he did all of this with all his gang and put him away forever.
Imagine living through a brutal sex assault where you're videoed and you have no recollection of it, and then you're presented with the video and that hangs over your head. Is my husband going to find out? My boyfriend, my children? Is it going to go online? Living with that the rest of your life when you were too afraid to come forward to start with. You heard Ariel Mitchell Kidd, her client, ran from Diddy's home, according to her, and banged on a neighbor's door to get help and filed a police report, but was too afraid to say two words: Sean Combs. Well, we're not afraid anymore. You know, what we've got on our banner tonight, 999, Diddy molest you? There is an actual toll-free hotline number at this point, 800-200-7474. Can you imagine one person has a toll-free number for all the alleged victims to call? That's where we're at. And believe you me, the feds ain't sitting back, not paying attention. Let's stop and remember an American hero, Sergeant Robert Blaine Swartz, Oklahoma County Sheriff's. Swartz shot and killed in the line of duty, a U.S. Army vet. Sergeant Swartz served over 25 years with Oklahoma Sheriffs. Survived by his mom, Phyllis. Don't you know, she's so proud of him. Son, Austin, and grandchildren, Reagan and Rowan. American hero, Sergeant Robert Blaine Swartz. End of watch. Thank you to all of our guests being with us tonight, but especially to you for joining us tonight and every night. Nancy Grace signing off. I'll see you tomorrow night. 6 and 9 o'clock sharp Eastern. And until then, good night, friend.
That was my review. Nancy Grace and her assessment on the Puff Daddy case.
What news she
I
with
see
now?
I see ladies in the chat. Yeah, she's always been hard on males, definitely black males.
Mm-hmm.
For her to get on, they gotta be or something. Other than that, she shits on men and black men. She definitely go in on.
Yeah.
Let's see if she do Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks.
Now I'm gonna give her 2 or 3 days to get on Garth Brooks ass.
What he do?
And we gonna do what we do is we're gonna do an assessment on how she treat Garth Brooks.
Mm.
Here we go. Let's go to Law and Crime Network. Diddy hires death penalty attorney as sex trafficking case bills. Yeah, it's getting bad, guys. This rabbit hole is getting deep. Subscribe to Law and Crime Network. Diddy hires death penalty attorney as sex trafficking case bills.
Amid facing a staggering amount of new sexual assault allegations, Sean Diddy Combs is to take on the federal prosecutor. His attorneys filed a third request to appeal his detention order. That order will remain in jail until trial. But in those new court documents, new names have been added to the Hitmakers Council. And those new names who agree to join his team are legal giants who are up for the challenge. So who are they? Anthony Rico is a well-established death penalty attorney. He reportedly led the defense in up to 45 federal death penalty cases. According to his bio on the Fordham Law University website,
I guess he got kicked out. How you doing, Peace?
Say, how you doing?
I'm good.
That's good, good, good.
You had a nice day today?
Oh yeah. We got off work a little while ago. It was cool because we was out of product and I ain't have to do a lot of work today, so I was good.
Did the day go by fast?
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much.
You
We
stay
were
busy.
we ran out of everything. The truck came there like what 10 minutes before it was time to close. I was yes sir. They were supposed to get there earlier, but by I think what by was it 9 or 10 o'clock? About 9 or 10 o'clock, we was out of everything. I just cleaned up the store and just stayed there to make my money.
You work the night shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I'm always up all night.
Can't wind down.
How's your day been?
Busy.
Sorry.
Busy at work. Just trying to get the day to go by.
That's what's up.
They throwing tomatoes at the lady.
Say what?
Kitty ass. Throwing tomatoes at the lady. I understand. Because she is full of shit.
Mm. Good comments. Mm. Mm. Oops, my bad.
She gone, Kitty. She gone. What happened?
I pressed the wrong button.
That damn Wi-Fi.
No, I pressed the wrong button myself. I was checking out the chats and tried to go back and push the wrong back button.
We gonna have to not mumble. I
Huh?
cannot hear you.
Say what?
I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, talk.
Excuse me?
I said you would have to talk.
Oh, you saying I'm just too quiet?
No, I was saying that you were low. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, my bad, my bad, my bad. Oh shit, man. I know I should have stopped at that damn liquor stuff. What the hell that nigga Ronnie got? Doing reverberating the video.
That damn Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
That damn Wi-Fi. Kick you back up. It's okay. It's okay. I have to reboot it. Yeah, he's still up there. We might have to reboot it.
Okay. Well, tell him when he do, tag me in. Oh, you talking about the clip
No,
or the show?
no, the Wi-Fi. He's just trying to get back in.
Oh, okay.
That's what he's trying to get back in. So we kicking him out, and he got to come back in. You kicking me out too. I don't leave and have to come back. Are you doing you that way too? Or you just that be your phone?
Say what?
It be your phone kicking you off the show?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, yeah. It'd be fucking up, and then it'll start getting staticky, and I have to log out and log back in.
Yeah. That's what it's Wi-Fi be doing. No man, And y'all hit that like button when y'all come through the door. Oh, lovely. They talking shit. Shit. Okay, there it is. Y'all don't fall asleep. Got one more. He's very key. He just waiting to come up. I guess he's trying to
So,
pull his other screen up too.
say what?
I said he's here. He's just waiting on, I guess, his other screen to pop up.
I see him. Yeah, I see him up there.
Okay. He just, okay.
Peace. Good.
Yeah, yeah. What up, God?
Yeah, man. Fuck, man. Must be a mothership connection breakup or something, man.
Yeah.
What is that so far of everything you heard?
It's cracking up.
What you said so far from what you heard?
Where do I stand so far?
I said, what have you assessed? What information have you gathered so far? Like what they're trying to build? What are they doing?
I don't know. I just know they really out to destroy him. I know that. Period. If he hiring some damn death penalty lawyers, I don't know. It kind of tells me he feel like something gonna get found out about his ass, and he's trying to avoid getting the death penalty. At least that's what it sounds like to me, or would seem like, not sound like, but would seem like. Just my thinking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. I hear you now. All right.
Yeah.
So, what have you gathered, out of this whole thing? Like, you say they're trying to crucify him.
Yep, pretty much. But
Pretty
like
much.
I was saying, it make it seem to me by him. Well, if he did, so-called hire a lawyer or death penalty lawyer. If he did hire that, he must be. To me, it seemed like he must be scared they're gonna find out some shit for real. Like other people may got other shit on him that they may say that would probably lead up to the death penalty, and he want to get him a good lawyer that can defend against the death penalty. That's what it sounds like to me.
Right.
I must be smoking that sticky icky.
Bro, you want to eat barbecue rib, man? Like, choke on off.
What up?
Yeah, I'm trying to talk and eat at the same time. Put around choking him, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they clearly had him. How you feel about Nancy Grace?
I can't stand no funky ass.
Uh-huh.
I ain't never liked never. Not since, not even when she was with who she was with, CNBC or CNN.
Yeah, how would you take this assessment? I say, I said she hard on men, but she really go in on black men.
Yeah, definitely.
And when it comes to females, they got to be like baby killers for her to go in on them.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Yeah. Well, yes, definitely. If you look at most of the shit that she actually report on, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She's always been like that.
You think she is esoteric?
Huh?
You think she esoteric?
Hell no. Hell no. I think the bitch just a bitch. I really can't stand her.
Yeah, man. I think Diddy done got into some deep shit on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little something a little bit more than just a humiliation ritual.
9 years old to 38. Add that up right there. 9/11, nigga.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was the subliminal numbers they sent out. 9 to 38. 9 and 8 plus 3 is what?
8 plus 3 is 11.
9, 11.
They gonna knock down the Twin Towers. Who the Twin Towers? Him and Jay-Z. The Twin Towers in New York. Him, Jay-Z.
You think Jay-Z sold them out?
Perhaps. I really can't speculate on that. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know Jay-Z's background. You know what I mean? Enough to say that he would switch him out. You know what I'm saying?
We're not condemning, nor are we defending, only giving our opinion.
That's facts.
Only giving our opinion.
But yeah, that's what that sounds like. At 9/11, who the biggest powers in New York? New York, as far as the music industry, that's Diddy.
That's
and
what the
Jay-Z.
news said the AIDS victims ranged from.
I know. That's the symbology up in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got something.
Uh-huh. Yes, sir. And we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Put your shirt on. Better get cold up in here.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
If Diddy had done this to you or anybody in your family and you was called to testify about it, would you get on stand and talk?
He could have did that shit to me. And if he had did it to somebody in my family and I knew about it, I refuse to answer that question on grounds I may incriminate myself.
Mm. Do you feel that for them to put 25 minors out there, do you think something's to this, or it's all bull?
To me, it kind of sounds far-fetched. 25 minors, and everybody and grown folks knowing about that and just standing around like, nah, somebody would have, man, that would have stirred somebody's stomach up, man, and they would have been said something. I'm talking about are the people that supposedly know about it. That's just sick.
Wow. Do you think Diddy will be able to bounce back after all this?
I think even if he was to beat the shit, he'd still be fucked up. Because some of them lawsuits is going through. Some of them gonna go through. And if those were to happen before his criminal case happened, it's gonna really hurt him. Because they gonna use those, you know what I'm saying, found guilties up in the criminal court. Like, okay, he got found guilty up in that. Why did he have to pay them if he wasn't guilty? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's but like I said, even if he was to beat it, like I said, you know what I mean? I know he's not gonna be respected no more by anybody. So he may as well go and retire. Even if he beat it, he get to keep his money. He may as well just go and retire and try to
What you
live.
saying? Bow out gracefully, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much. Because ain't no motherfuckers finna be fucking with him no more.
You don't think so?
Nope. Plus, oh nigga, you got all that shit on. Oh yeah, Ain't nobody finna be fucking.
I mean, only if he get caught fucking with kids, ain't nobody go fuck with him no more.
Well, that's a possibility. Well, if somebody do fuck with him, it ain't gonna be too many.
It's them underage charges that'll make people turn on him now.
Yeah, but still, I don't think too many of them gonna still fuck with him after this, even if he beat it or not.
Shit.
I don't think too many of them gonna still be fucking with him.
I don't know, man. I don't know, God. I think if he beat her, if he beat that motherfucker, I think it'll be the biggest lawsuit in federal history.
Yeah.
Something like that.
If he could countersue
That type
all
of
of that, the
embarrassment.
defamation of character and all of that good shit, he can countersue all of them.
You know what's crazy about this was that he was supposed to turn himself in on like the 20th or something like that. The 19th or 20th or something like that of this month.
But he
They went and got it. No. They snatched him up.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
I thought he put himself in. Damn.
They snatched him
So,
up.
so he didn't go when he was supposed to, or they snatched him before he could.
Now they snatched him before they snatched him before the original set date.
Oh, okay. That's some wild ass shit. One thing money can't do is buy your life.
That's what Let's get back to it. Law and Crime Network described Diddy high penalty attorney as sex trafficking case bills.
In the 2000s, according to his bio, he doubles as an adjunct professor of law at Fordham and has been practicing law since 1982. New trial of his life, dream team to take on the federal prosecutors in his sex trafficking case. On Monday, Combs' attorneys filed a third request to appeal his detention order. That order requires the Bad Boy Records founder to remain in jail until trial. But in those new court documents, new names have been added to the hitmaker's counsel. And those new names who agree to join his team are legal giants who are up for the challenge. Who are they? Anthony Rico is a well-established death penalty attorney. He reportedly led the defense in up to 45 federal death penalty cases. According to his bio on the Fordham Law University website, some of the notable yet controversial cases included Rico serving on the counsel in the World Trade bombing conspiracy case and embassy bombing case in 1998. Some of his other cases included People versus Corey Arthur. Arthur was charged in the murder of the son of former Time Warner CEO Gerald Levine. Rico was able to get the death penalty off the table and litigate Arthur's sentence to life in prison. He also previously represented the undercover NYPD officer acquitted in the 2006 killing of Sean Bell. According to his bio, he doubles as an adjunct professor of law at Fordham and has been practicing law since 1982. Another new addition to the Diddy defense team is Alexandra Shapiro. According to her firm's website, she's labeled as one of the nation's leading appellate lawyers, and her work is recognized in the reversals of both civil and criminal cases. She graduated from Columbia University School of Law in 91 and began working as a clerk to Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg before going on to work in white-collar defense. Shapiro even landed her own huge wins in the Supreme Court and narrowed the scope of the federal fraud statutes to reverse the wire fraud convictions of Western New York developer Louis Simonelli and former Andrew Cuomo aide Joseph Percoco. She's also representing convicted cryptocurrency Bankman-Fried, who is reportedly in the same unit as Shapiro's newest client, Sean Combs, aka Diddy. And if you're wondering if she's related to the Robert Shapiro from the O.J. Simpson case, the two are not related. Shapiro and Rico now join Mark Agnifilo and Teeny Garagos. Teeny Garagos is the daughter of the attorney to the stars Mark Garagos, who famously represented the likes of Winona Ryder, Michael Jackson, and Chris Brown. But according to Teeny's bio, she's making a name for herself. She was a founding partner of Agnifilo and Trader and has defended clients in federal and state cases at the trial and appellate level. Her experience is in defending and investigating allegations of sexual misconduct, and she's represented a number of people accused of sexual assault and sexual harassment. But on the flip side, she's also represented victims of sexual assault and violence. But her range doesn't just include sex crimes. According to her bio, she's also defended a wide range of criminal matters, including securities fraud, wire fraud, public corruption, tax evasion, deportation, and narcotics cases. And of course, there's Mark Agnifilo, who seemingly has been the face of Diddy's defense team thus far. According to his bio on his firm's website, he's won acquittals in many of the most complex and difficult trials in America. In the past several years, he secured 3 acquittals in cases ranging from assault to international tax fraud to political corruption, and has tried more than 200 cases over his 30-year career. With all 4 combined legal experience, it seems they're all up for taking on a music mogul accused of sex trafficking. As Diddy faces another hearing slated for next week, we can expect his new additions to argue for bail once again. But will it be successful? Well, that's up for a federal judge to decide if third time's the charm. There are a lot of difficult stories that we cover here at Law and Crime, and part of the reason we're able to keep bringing you these types of stories is because of our great sponsors. So I really want to take time to thank Upside for sponsoring us. If you're wondering what's Upside, well, it's a free app that gets you cash back on daily essentials like gas and groceries. And it's actual real cash back too. Money appears in your Upside app that you can transfer straight into your bank account. So here's what you do. You download the Upside app, then claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. I went to 7-Eleven, got candy, some other snacks, used the app, and honestly, it's super simple. You can use the app at places like Shell, Exxon, and fast food favorites like Taco Bell, and that's just to name a few. So to find out how much you could earn, download Upside or click the link in the description and use our promo code LCNews to get 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. Again, that's promo code LCNews for an extra 25 cents back on your first gallon of gas. I'm joined now by criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Florina Altschuyler. Now, Florina, I really appreciate you joining me today. Diddy has hired some pretty heavy hitters to join his defense team. Is it significant to you at all that he added a well-established death penalty attorney into his case, that being Anthony Rico?
Certainly, he's not charged with any crimes that expose him to the death penalty. But anytime anybody is charged with a crime, especially somebody with significant money, they're going to hire established attorneys with experience, and they're going to hire a team of attorneys.
And he also added being Alexandra Shapiro. What do you make of that addition to his team, given she's still representing Sam Bankman-Fried and he's reportedly housed in the same unit as Diddy?
You know, that's actually not all that surprising. Oftentimes, defendants will speak to other defendants. They'll have exposure to other defendants while in custody, and will sometimes, by recommendation of other defendants, hire an attorney that is representing one of them. I've many times seen clients hire the same attorney as somebody else that's in the same cell block with them, just because of references. It's not much different than how people find their estheticians or their physicians or pick the gyms that they go to. It's by word of mouth.
And just looking through their bios, they all have very well established careers, each in their own right, of defending clients accused from different ranges: assault, sex crimes, white collar crimes, death penalty cases, etc. But in your opinion, what will make Diddy's case different in terms of defending?
Biggest issue with his case is the number of alleged victims that are coming forward. And normally, when you have a case of one complainant against one defendant, instances of prior situations with other complainants are not going to be relevant. They're going to be entirely too prejudicial, and they're not something that's going to come into evidence at trial. Think of the Weinstein case where they did, and then the case in New York was reversed because of those three other women's incidents that came into evidence and the court determined were entirely too prejudicial for purposes of determining whether or not he committed the offense charged with that one. In this case, what I expect is going to happen, at least on the civil end, is there's over 100 different complainants coming together, suing together, almost like a class action lawsuit, which for purposes of a sex crime is really unique. And that's going to allow all of that evidence cumulatively to come together in one case. I would not be surprised. In fact, I fully expect that in the criminal case, the same thing is going to happen because he's charged with sex trafficking. And so they're going to be able to put into evidence before the same one jury this long list of women and men who are the victims of his actions. And that, while it's overwhelmingly prejudicial, is relevant to the charges. And so it's going to come in and it's going to be really difficult to overcome. You know, I've had clients who have had this slew of charges that, for factual reasons under those circumstances, are able to be brought together. And I explained to them, listen, I could beat the first, I could beat the second, maybe I could even beat the third. But when you have 27 different ones, we're just not going to be that lucky. After a certain point, there's this tipping point, and it's just too many people saying the same thing that the jury is not going to find reasonable doubt. And I think that's going to be his biggest issue, unless he's somehow able to convince a judge to separate those claims and keep the different complainants apart. But given the nature of the charges, I just don't see how that's going to be possible.
And given their kind of range of experience in the criminal defense world, what are your thoughts also on how that'll kind of play into the appeal process? You know, they're already appealing his bail order right now. They're hoping to go for a third time, hoping that Diddy will get bail. But how important is the appeal process all throughout this, even given that we're not even at trial yet?
So every good trial attorney has to have a keen ear for appeals. Everything that we do in preparation for trial, during our oral arguments, and during the trial itself is to preserve the record for purposes of appeal and to preserve any legal issues that come up where there might be a ruling that we believe could be reversed. The best thing to do, which they're doing, is to have a team of attorneys, because a trial attorney is not always an appeal attorney, and an appeal attorney is most certainly not a trial attorney. And so when you have a team of attorneys with different specialties, you can have appellate counsel watching, overseeing, and identifying issues as they come up. You can also have that appeal attorney counseling the trial attorney to highlight things that that trial attorney may not know to argue and to preserve. Without the two working together, that trial attorney has to also be an appellate expert, which is not often the case.
And you said something interesting. You said team. Now, some are also saying this is kind of Diddy's version of setting up like an OJ Simpson like dream team. What are your thoughts on that kind of comparison?
Elizabeth, I've been thinking that our entire conversation. That's absolutely correct, and that's a great point, right? You know, O.J. Simpson had someone who was an expert in DNA. O.J. Simpson had someone who really was able to hone in on racial issues. He had excellent trial attorneys. He had excellent writers, excellent appellate attorneys. You have to have that team come together to collaborate, especially in a case where the volume of evidence is going to be so great that it is just time-wise impossible for one attorney to have the hours in the day and the days in the year to review everything. And, you know, I have cases sometimes where the case that I am trying right now, 6,600 jail calls. There's not enough minutes in the day or days in the week to be able to sit there and listen to them. You need to have support. You need to have additional humans to go through all of that evidence. In federal cases, I get discovery on disks that are in the terabytes of data. It is just too much for one person to be able to do, regardless of how brilliant they may be.
And as the attorneys are appealing that bail order and going hopefully to get Diddy bail for now a third time, do you think that'll be successful?
Unfortunately, I do not. Federal law as it comes to bail is not the same as state court law. Now, in state court, you can argue whether or not the person is a flight risk, argue that they are not a flight risk, and either get them released on their own recognizance or have bail lowered. In federal court, flight risk is a question to be addressed. However, the judge is allowed to, can, and should consider nature of the charges. And in this case, the nature of the charges is bad. It's really bad. You have to consider the number of alleged victims, the time span of the crime, and the gravity of the incidents that are alleged. And based on that, I am not at all surprised that a federal judge is holding him in custody, and I would not expect him to change his mind and release him.
All right, Florina, I really appreciate your insight into this case. Before I sign you off, anything else you'd like to add?
I think this is going to be an interesting case that's going to have to go to trial, because I just don't see how the government is going to offer a plea that's not going to involve prison time. And I don't see Diddy taking a plea that is going to involve prison time. So this is definitely one to watch.
All right, Florina, again, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me, Elizabeth.
Sean Diddy Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges including racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Through his attorneys, he says he's innocent and will fight to clear his name, and has denied the most recent wave of more than 120 sexual assault allegations against him. The music mogul is slated to appear in court again next week on October 9th. Reporting for Law and Crime, I'm Elizabeth Milner.
It's a lot of damaging, accusations. Hopefully get it prepared.
But at least he getting him a good team put together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be some shit. Right about now, though, I'm getting sleepy, so I'm gonna go ahead and bid y'all farewell for the night. If it's on tomorrow night, hit me up and I will be here. And peace, love, light, and stay safe. Why?
Salute. Peace, God. Let's go to the TikToker allegedly murdered therapist dumped body in the ditch. Just
A TikTok star is getting a lot more attention from some new followers, law enforcement. The 20-year-old known as Mr. Prada online has been arrested, accused of killing a therapist in another state. Could this be connected to allegations of misconduct against that counselor? We're digging into the large-scale investigation and how something like this could happen with the licensed clinical social worker and trauma expert. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth Milner, in for Jesse Weber. Over the last several days, rumors have been building online about an influencer whose real name is Terrion Thomas. The 20-year-old might be better known by his username, Mr. Prada, and has more than 4 million followers on TikTok. And I will admit, I used to watch some of his videos. Now, according to people who follow him online, Thomas has been behaving more and more erratically. For example, he posted a video of himself shaving his head, leaving little patches of hair all over. He also posted in May of last year about practicing his mugshot because this might be the year someone's going to meet God if they make him too angry. Now it's Thomas's actual mugshot that's making rounds on social media. He was detained on Tuesday in Dallas, Texas, after he fled from a traffic stop where he was spotted driving a dead man's car. And we're just learned he's officially been charged with murder. So here's a timeline of what we know so far. Dr. Nicholas Abraham's body was found on Sunday, September 29th, wrapped in a tarp on the side of the road in Louisiana. Deputies say his body was hidden partially in the woods about 60 miles away from where he worked. The 69-year-old was a mental health therapist based in Baton Rouge, as well as a former Catholic priest. He also made regular appearances on Baton Rouge television. The coroner determined Dr. Abraham died from blunt force trauma as a result of homicide. Investigators in Louisiana have been working to figure out exactly where Abraham was killed. The sheriff said no weapons were found near his body, and a search of his home turned up with no clues. His roommate told deputies that Abraham said he was going to have his car cleaned and do some paperwork at his office on Saturday, but never came back. On Monday, deputies released Abraham's identity. Then later that same day, an officer spotted an SUV that had a license plate that came back as stolen. When the officer tried to do a traffic stop, the driver backed the SUV into the officer's patrol car, then ran off on foot. Officials released surveillance video showing the last person known to be driving that SUV. When they posted these photos online, people immediately started making the connection between the man in the picture and Mr. Prada, saying the two look just alike. On Tuesday, officers in Dallas, Texas were able to take Thomas into custody. He's charged with allegedly having a stolen vehicle, running from police, and now murder. So what do we know about Dr. Nicholas Abraham? Abraham's website reads, Dr. Nick specializes in addiction, substance abuse, anxiety and depression, relationship growth, adolescent and adult developmental issues, and sexual identity concerns. He has further expertise in men's health and wellness issues and is a member of the Louisiana Counseling Association. The website goes on to say that he not only has a PhD in counseling, but a master's degree in religious studies and a master's degree in theology. But the this murder mystery was whipped into frenzy when it was revealed that Abraham had been arrested in the past for allegedly touching a boy inappropriately during a counseling session. That arrest happened back in 2015. Abraham was arrested and released on a $25,000 bond. Prosecutors decided not to take the case to trial. In a statement, District Attorney Hiller Moore told local affiliate WAFB, while there was probable cause for an arrest, my office had to determine if the evidence supported our burden at trial, which is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. This matter was under review by my office for approximately 2 years. After considering all available evidence, the best interests of the child, and the lack of inculpatory statements by the arrestee, we declined to institute formal charges. Many people have wondered, is it possible that the alleged victim in that case is Terrion Thomas? The attorney for Abraham in the previous case says absolutely not. So for now, the motive for the killing is still under investigation. You know, we cover a lot of horrific and tough stories here at Law and Crime, and part of the reason we're able to keep bringing you these types of stories is because of our great sponsors. So I really want to take a quick moment to thank Upside for sponsoring us. So if you're wondering what's Upside, well, it's a free app that gets you cash back on daily essentials like gas and groceries. And it's actual real cash back too. The money appears in your Upside app that you can transfer straight into your bank account. So here's what you do. You download the Upside app, then claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. I went to 7-Eleven, got some candy, some other snacks, use the app, and honestly, it's super easy. You can use the app at places like Shell, Exxon, fast food favorites like Taco Bell, and that's just to name a few. So to find out how much you could earn, download Upside or click the link in the description and use our promo code SIDEBAR to get 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. Again, that's promo code SIDEBAR for an extra 25 cents back on your first gallon of gas. Well, joining us now to discuss this case further is licensed clinical social worker, trauma expert, and author of Stolen Childhoods, Thriving After Abuse, Sherry Botwin. Sherry, it's always so great to see you. You know, Mr. Prada was a really well-known content creator on TikTok. I think for many people, including myself, it was shocking to see him as a person of interest in a murder, let alone now a suspect in the murder. What's been your reaction to this case?
I think mostly shock and disbelief and what was going on? What happened? I have like a list of questions running through my mind. It's a really sad story.
And, you know, Mr. Prada, as his username was, he was pretty funny on TikTok, but what he's accused of doing is pretty horrendous. You know, stealing the therapist's car, dropping the victim off on the side of the road, fleeing to another state, and just let alone this whole murder aspect of it all. What are your thoughts, given that he was just this kind of, in a way, upbeat, let alone that flip side now where he's accused of this dark and horrific thing?
I think what happens with social media, especially someone like him who's an influencer on TikTok, constantly making these videos, you get a perspective, you get one side of a person, but you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what's going on inside of him. One of the things I was thinking about was he using TikTok as a place to create a part of his personality that he thrived on, whether it was connecting with other people, getting the attention, or even just if he's having a day where he's feeling really angry or really
To kill your therapist, that's pretty serious.
happy or really upset? Is he going on social media to share that particular part of him? But then behind the scenes, what's going on inside of him? And was he using TikTok as a coping mechanism or a way to feel like he has some control or that people will like him? It's just so hard to say because I've never met him, but I know that he did talk some about what was going on in his mind, and at one point he alluded to being bipolar. So when I hear that, I think, you know, again, I don't know him, but it sounds like he had some awareness that he was really struggling.
What are your thoughts about the pressure that a lot of TikTok content creators face? Because again, he's only 20 years old, but he had a following of, I think, more than 4 million followers. It's a lot of people kind of following your day-to-day life. But what are your thoughts on how maybe the pressure of social media may have played a part in kind of him maybe snapping in a way, allegedly?
So we don't know what his followers are saying. If you go back and read all the comments, I'm sure we would find comments that might have been mean or critical. And I think too, once you're an influencer, the expectation is that you be making these videos, you be on visible to your followers probably multiple times a day. And I think that alone, especially for someone who's young and someone who may be struggling with some type of mental health issue, what it does is it exacerbates all of the insecurities that someone struggles with. And I think for some people, the pressure can really get them to a point where they become, whether it's homicidal, suicidal, and not hearing of him because he wasn't changing any of that. One of the hopes I have case unfolds is I want to find out more about him. I want to know more about what he was thinking. Of course, I want to know what his relationship was with this particular therapist. So I think right now, a lot of questions that we don't have the answers to, but once you become an influencer and once your name is out there are expectations that you can put on yourself or that others will put on you. And it can be dangerous for some people.
Many of his viewers and followers have speculated he might have had mental health issues that he was conveying on the internet. You see him on video after he shaved his head. Do you think he was conveying to his audience that may have not known at the time that he was experiencing a mental health crisis?
That was my first reaction when I watched the video with him having shaved his head. He does allude to being bipolar. So one of the things I'm thinking is this a way for him to signal to people that he needs help? Is this him that doesn't feel like people are listening? Does anybody behind the scenes in his family, his close friends, whoever he's connected going on inside of him? Those are some of the questions that I have. And again, one of the things I know, because I work with a lot of young social media who post on social media, people use social media to get the word out. So for some people, it's very helpful. If you're a survivor of something like sexual assault and you're trying to get support, you go on social media and you find out there's so many other #MeToos. But I feel like he was alluding to the fact there might have been something wrong, but we don't really know what was wrong, and we don't know what he was trying to get out of having this public platform.
And there's a term that you see a lot on TikTok. It's called crash out or crashing out. While sometimes it's used kind of in a funny way, many online have thought that Mr. Prada was crashing out. Given your expertise, what do you kind of make of that?
I mean, the term itself is a bit concerning. It makes me think of when clients come in and they say, I'm hitting rock bottom, or I can't do this anymore. What it makes me think is that's when someone's at the breaking point. So whether they're at the breaking point of feeling extremely angry, or they haven't slept in days, or if in fact they are struggling with bipolar, crash out could be hitting rock bottom and feeling homicidal, suicidal, but it also can mean for someone who has bipolar that they're at the height of the mania phase. And it's a word that I think when people use it, we really have to be careful how we interpret that and how we respond. So if he's going on social media and describing feeling like that, or other people are saying that, to me, that's a warning sign. That's a red flag.
And what are your thoughts on the allegations that the therapist had also faced, where he was accused years ago of inappropriately touching a young boy? What are your thoughts, kind of given that aspect? Although the therapist has said that, Mr. Prada had nothing to do with that or anything like that. He's not the alleged victim in that case. But what are your thoughts, given that added aspect of the allegations that therapist also faced previously?
I mean, I think we're going to find out. I think that those are allegations that are obviously very concerning. And like you said, that charge was dismissed, and we don't know anything really about that part of his story, but we will find out. People have to understand that when there are therapists, doctors, teachers, that doesn't mean that they are perfect or that they too may not have something going on, whether they're struggling with a mental illness. So it's an interesting aspect of the story. And it's obviously, for me, one of the questions that I have. What was his relationship like with this person? Was he seeing him for therapy? What were the
for those just now tuning in, we're doing a review on the TikToker who killed his therapist.
Yeah, but I'm trying to ask something. I'm trying to ask something like, can I just ask it, or I gotta wait till everything is done? I don't have a problem.
Is it pertaining to the subject? Is it pertaining to the subject?
Yes, it's totally pertaining to the subject. Because what they try to do to us, like what they doing right now, and don't get me wrong, I know this man probably did some foul shit or whatever, But when it's pertaining to us, they are fucking like what you call that when you trying to make somebody not think about what the problem really is. They trying to push us along with that to think about this, and it's a lot to think about. Yeah, you gonna say he had ADHD, or you gonna say he had even autism or whatever the fuck, because you're trying to push it along and make us think like this. And this is the problem now. Just like, I don't know if y'all remember when it was a dress that they said was blue and white or some fucking color, but if you see it this color, then you thinking that way. Like they keep trying to push us to a narrative that's not even there. Every time it's a problem, they always redirect us, and so we won't be thinking about that. We thinking about the Diddy case and all this shit right now. So we don't have time to think about what really the fuck is really happening right now. So how many of us gonna be that dumb to not think about what everybody else talking about?
Well, what exactly are you talking about?
Even though we got CNN and all this shit, and you see it, but that's over your head because you're thinking about what Diddy and everybody else going through as a black person, and I don't know how you think you covering them or you trying to protect them. We cannot protect them because they've been doing shit for a long fucking time. But they did that on purpose just to throw us off.
Did you grow up on Diddy?
Did I do what?
Did you grow up on Diddy?
Why I didn't grow up on Diddy? I was born in '79.
Okay. Did you grow
Why I didn't grow up on all these people that's dead right now? Why I didn't grow up on them? And all these people that's dead right now really want to have conscience.
You grew up in 79 or you were born in 79? Which one is it?
Wait, what'd you say?
You grew up in 79 or you was born in 79?
I was born in '79. I'm telling you the truth. But that don't mean that I don't know about the '80s, the '90s, and everything before that. So what are we talking about? You was probably born in '76. So you want to say that to me?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Really? Born in '76, '72. Anywhere in the '70s, you could be born. But that don't mean that you don't know more than me or I don't know more than you.
Well,
knowing
is a
knowing is a powerful thing.
Yeah, when you
and
know
then what I want to say about knowing is, let me tell you something. If you was born anywhere between 70 and 79, you was still a motherfucking baby. So it didn't even matter. So we just gotta get what people telling us. And whatever makes sense to us, that's what we talking about. But I don't even want to talk it like that. Just like I wasn't there picking cotton with no motherfucking body, but I know it was wrong. And that's all I can say. But I'm not going to say every detail that they went through that I went through because I didn't. But now they got real proof that this nigga did all this. But where's Bill Cosby proof that he did it? Where's R. Kelly proof that he did it? Only other nigga we got proof that did it was Michael Jackson. Because when a nigga could tell you what's on your nutsack, that's proof. and they took pictures. So everybody else, it don't matter to me. They just taking us down one by motherfucking one because you want to be politically correct. You want to be in power. You want to do all of this. And now look what they doing to you when you don't follow suit. He tried to fucking sue that motherfucking Ciroc company, and they had their T's crossed out and they eyes dotted, and now he in trouble. Now, I don't know if nobody was listening to that. I don't give a fuck about the parties. I don't give a fuck where you place your dick. I don't give a fuck about none of that. We got to listen to the real shit. Now, I don't know if you heard that part, but okay. When he tried to sue them, and he didn't dot his T's and cross his eyes, dot his T's and cross his eyes, he fucked up. Fucked his whole life up. Because he could have been continuing doing what he been doing for years. All of a sudden now, they got to bring him out. That don't even make sense.
How long you say he been doing it?
He been doing it for years. Years. Is my microphone working?
Yeah, I hear you, but
yeah, years. He been doing that. Well, if you ain't sure, I'm not sure, but I'm sure.
I'm just curious. Are you know?
I'm super curious. I'm super knowing though.
Just super
He
curious.
ain't got away with a gang of shit. And never got prosecuted or nothing. Never even got looked at. So I don't know how you saying that he innocent.
So you don't think Puffy's innocent?
And the difference is, I just gotta tell you the difference. The difference is, R. Kelly never even had money like that, but he still went down when they wanted him to go down. And that's how I know this nigga about to go down. R. Kelly
So
didn't have money like that.
So you think Puffy's doing the stuff that they saying?
Listen, I wasn't there. I can't say whatever he did, but when people saying they can't even sleep to this day for what the fuck he did, you gotta listen to that. Cause who would say that? And I do believe if that bodyguard know anything about him, that bodyguard was doing the same shit he was doing too. I'm not saying he wrong or right, but he did something. It ain't no way. It ain't no way that you doing all this and somebody don't know about it.
So you think other people
knew? Well, if you don't, I guess you're gonna be right there trying to give him what you call it, an alibi. And I know you ain't been in out one of them parties. But I did see, you know who don't like that fucking Orlando Brown nigga?
What about him?
He been saying this for years. He told everybody what Puff was doing a long time ago.
What did he say?
And now all of a sudden it's out. He been saying that. So whatever anybody believe, you got the right to believe what you want to believe. But listen, I'm not getting into the Biggie and Tupac part. I don't know what happened with that. But it's a lot of shit that people is getting. People, wise is leaving them right now because they know something that don't even make sense. Now all of a sudden, Steve Harvey got a whole mugshot. Like, what is going on? They just gonna take all the black people down at once because the motherfucker thought he had too much. He had too much clout, and he taking everybody with him. Now, if he did it or he didn't do it, he taking everybody with him. And all these motherfuckers that decide to marry half-breeds and white bitches and all of this, they all going down. So it don't fucking matter.
What?
You heard me. You see it. You see it every day.
You want to explain that?
I couldn't even believe that Ashton Kutcher had something to do with the shit. I couldn't believe that. But he did. He's scared now. But we know they gonna let him off. Ashton Kutcher and a couple of other white men that got some shit to do with it, they gonna let them off, and all the black people gonna go down. Now everybody retreating. You see it every day. They doing it on purpose. They let you get so much clout until they running you down. Now, whole man sitting in jail with all this money and can't even fucking get out. He could pay the bill to get out, but he can't get out. Now you tell me. I'm gonna let you talk now. I'm quiet.
The 50 million is a lot.
If that was a white man sitting in jail, you know, any bail is half of what they asking for. So that don't even fucking matter. He ain't never got to pay the whole 50 million. But now when the lawyers say, oh, he a flight risk, he got jets, he got this, he got that, he'll just leave up out of here. They doing everything to stop his whole process. And you know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, it's a different level of the game, though, you know.
That's why being rich is a gift and a curse. Being rich is a gift and a curse. For sure.
They say Orlando Brown is throwing off.
I can't hear you.
Read the comment. They were saying Orlando Brown was thrown off.
He was thrown off. That's why he never made it to none of the shit. And because he seen all the shit, he did go, but he didn't stay. And he told everybody everything. They could go watch every Orlando Brown show they want to. Everybody that ever interviewed him seen what the fuck he said. So if they want to be mean or trying to act like he didn't say what he said, that's on them. Because I heard everything he said. Even though I thought he was crazy, but he ain't crazy. When you fucking think about it.
and more.